I'm Jesse Fox from the new game UnMetal. I got arrested for a crime I didn't commit. And you're listening to the Kojima Frequency.
This week on the show, we're joined by game creative assistant Jacklifear and the creator of the new Metal Gear MSX parody UnMetal, UnEpic Fran. Yeah, did you guys see the direct yesterday?
Not personally.
Yeah.
Oh, though everywhere in social media was talking about the Mario movie.
Yeah. Oh boy.
I don't think I've laughed so hard in my life.
I thought it was a live action until about 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, we were just talking about I was mad because I was like, they don't even look like them. And then I was like, oh, wait, they're doing voices. Shit.
Even then, though, I'm not the biggest fan of Chris Pratt being Mario. I do appreciate Charlie Day as Luigi, though.
And that Toad, I mean, you can't go wrong with that.
Oh, yeah, I can approve of Keegan as Toad.
Yeah.
Full disclosure.
I mean, they're making a Mario movie with Toad as the main character. That's how I look at it.
God, I really hope it's that. I'm a big fan of Toad.
Mario's in it for like 5 minutes. It's actually a Mario is Missing movie.
And then he gets knocked off by Luigi.
Hey, I'm Fingers.
Yo, it's Apache Smash.
Hey, everyone. This is Days Ahead.
And I'm Nitroid. You're listening to the Kojima Frequency.
We didn't want to go into it like UnMetal, tell us everything about UnMetal. One, because that's not really our energy. But two, also because there's a few other items that we're pretty interested in from you, Fran, in general.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, a good example of this, or one way we kind of look at it is, you know, obviously UnMetal is Metal Gear inspired.
It's like the opposite of Metal Gear because it's UnMetal.
It's MSX Metal Gear inspired.
Yeah, that's sort of what I wanted to call out is a lot of people just see it, oh, it's Metal Gear, like this is based off Metal Gear, but I think the real emphasis here is not just Metal Gear, but Metal Gear MSX, and to an even larger extent that people don't understand is, or I don't think people grasp, is MSX in general, because from my understanding, you are you are an evangelical of MSX, if you will.
Sort of this, yeah. So the MSX was my first computer, and for me, I have a great memories of it. And now that I'm capable of doing stuff for it, so I do. And for my games, for PC and computer, so yeah, I have my memories and they pull hard. So I tend to do things based on these sort of games that are the games I like, by the way.
So you just got a real like nostalgic pull to those games, and that's kind of just the stuff that you like and just, you know, the stuff that you want to make. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
Hey, that's a good batch of games. I mean, especially, you know, one of my favorite games is Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake. So it's just, you know, to see some of these MSX games like kind of being resurfaced in a way. I'm like, you know, I like the retro style gameplay, you know, so that's kind of my bread and butter. So I'm really excited to play this game, actually.
You're gonna hate me when you reach level 4.
Oh boy!
There's a special trap. For speed runners, you know, but it's not made on purpose. But it's a really, really special trap.
Spoilers.
Literally, by the way, for speed runners.
Luckily, I don't do any speedrun stuff. I just take my time with it and enjoy it, and just try to soak it all in, and just. I might stream it, but I might just keep it all to myself. That's like I played the demo like reluctantly. Like I was like, I don't want to play this and like spoil it for myself. But then also went in and just like enjoyed every second of it, and just made me really look forward to the game. So
yeah, it's just me who speedruns. I'm the resident degenerate speedrunner. All these other guys are like purists. I don't know what the term is. They play games in a healthier way. No, wait, that's wrong. No, they don't.
Moderation, like normal people. No.
I think if we were healthy, then we would be on this show, but I digress. I'm sorry, what were you saying?
Oh, yeah, no. One would call them gamers.
I will say the MSX is kind of a foreign platform in the West,
Yes.
at least in the United States.
And that's sort of why I want to emphasize that to an extent that, I think there's a chunk of the Western audience that doesn't understand the extent that this is influenced by MSX development. So I think one thing that we do want to grasp here is trying to get an understanding of that platform, at least for folks that, not that I doubt the Metal Gear community, I'm sure they're familiar with MSX, but just to kind of add some context to the platform and how it influenced, your development.
Yeah, it's for the most part, I would say the Metal Gear community specifically knows more about the MSX than anyone else in the United States, at least for the most part. I mean, there is a sort of a sect of MSX fans in the U.S., but it wasn't really something that was a cultural element here, much like the original Nintendo was and some of the earlier consoles. Though the MSX isn't really a console per se. So if I had to kind of swing this back around into an actual question for you, I guess it would be, Metal Gear aside, to you, how does MSX differ from other sort of retro game platforms? And what of that is interesting to you?
Are you talking to me?
Yeah.
Are you talking to me?
Yeah.
Are you talking to me, God? No, answering your question. So, the first Metal Gear was MSX, of course. And I can't compare it with other platforms because, for instance, I never played the NES version. I just saw a couple of screenshots. It looks very similar to the. I think it's a direct port.
Oh, it's different.
It's different, yeah, because there's a screen. I saw a screenshot where there's a guard saying, "I feel sleepy," and I can't remember this. I can't remember in the MSX Saga.
Yeah,
for sure.
That's the outstanding moment. But for lack of a better term, I would say that it's neutered. It's diet Metal Gear.
It doesn't even have a Metal Gear.
Yeah, it doesn't even have really a Metal Gear. You fight more
really?
Metal Gears in Destiny than you do in Metal Gear.
Well, that's really odd, actually. So no, I'm afraid I just play the MSX, the two first, MSX Metal Gear and Metal Gear 2. I like the first one because the movement is smoother, and it was the first one. And it was the first impression, the first shock. Something different, something stealth.
Yeah.
The second one I played later, maybe 15, 20 years later in an emulator because I didn't have no one had a Turbo R computer. It was something really rare. It barely went out from Japan. And I enjoyed the first one very much more than the second one. Besides this, I didn't play the NES or other platforms. The only Metal Gear I tried once was Metal Gear 2 Sons of Liberty. I think I said correctly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Sons of Liberty. I tried it in a friend's place, so I had some time, maybe 3, 4, or 5 hours. I started playing it, and the feeling was real cool because even if it was a 3D game, the feeling when you get an item, clink, the sounds and everything reminded me the first Metal Gear. So the feeling, the essence was there, but in 3D, which was quite awkward. But I enjoyed the experience. And at one point I had to go back home, so I just left the game. And that's everything I played. It's I know it sounds ridiculous, but I always said to myself, I had to buy a PlayStation 2, a second-hand PlayStation 2 with all the Metal Gears and play them. And I've been just keep saying once over and over again to me, and I never did. So shame on me.
Hey, Fran, when I was younger, almost all of my friends had NESs and such. But over in Spain, how many friends did you know that had an MSX? I'm curious.
Well, MSX in Spain was really successful. In Europe, it was in Spain and in Holland. Don't ask me why. Maybe some some sort of importation stuff. But in Spain, half the population had MSX, the other half had the Amstrad CPC 64, very typical one. So it depending on the school. If your school had MSX, of course, all the parents from that school bought an MSX to their sons, and that's my case too. So my friends, well, when I was younger, I had a few friends, but with MSX, I started to have more, and we used to go to a friend's house and spend the afternoon just playing video games, playing. When Salamander came in with 2 players, that was awesome. So I had we can call it computer games, and yes, that was awesome.
So you guys had MSXs in your school, so it was like an edutainment or educational machine. As
an educational machine.
Okay.
It was supposed to be because MSX is a computer. It has a keyboard. You can program on them. It was basic by default. You could use. So yeah, we were supposed to learn computer science with them. And when I did at home, by the way, I had a book and I started to study basic by myself because the video games there, by then they were very, very expensive and most of them were terrible at the beginning of the 80s. So I just had no option just to create my own games and learn from magazines. And
you were being the change that you wanted to be.
Yeah, absolutely. And I had fun. No one played my games, but anyway, I had fun doing them.
The reason I wanted to bring that up is because it's very analogous to at least my upbringing, where we had the Apple II. And we were supposed to learn things on there and play like educational games like Amazon Trail and shit like that.
Troggle Trouble.
Number munchers. Always
number munchers, baby. Yes. So I didn't personally learn any programming languages, so it sounds like you guys, if you don't mind me asking, what grade was that?
I was 12 years old.
Wow.
12 or 13. But yeah, we were supposed to learn something, but we didn't. I mean, at the school, of course. So who learned it was at home, just by reading books and magazines. And there was a lot of video games, shoot 'em ups with vessels like Xanac X in computers. You could see me all the time. I mean, the free time at the school, going to the computer room to play video games with my friends. That was awesome.
I think the education worked, considering program games. You've made multiple games. Like the education system works.
What it had was a lack of video games by the time.
Did having the MSX that early in your life, is that what made you want to make games, or was that something that you found an interest in later?
No, I felt attracted for video games from moment one. So the first time I got my computer and I saw a small video game of just 2 cars just moving left and right, I said, oh, I want to do this. This is pure magic. I need to do that. And then I started to learn how to do them. So it was love at sight.
It's interesting to me because, as this story unfolds for us, originally I thought it was like, he played the Metal Gear MSX games. But it sounds like it's a love beyond not just the games, not just the platform, but the language itself. It sounds like you have a very intimate relationship with the computer.
Oh yeah, we kiss each other all the time. Now, by the time I used to program in BASIC, which was and is a very slow language, and that was very painful for me because I tried to do stuff or things and they were slow. I had to just squish my brain how to accelerate as much as possible. And I tried to learn assembler, but I was too young. And in fact, I bought a book. I didn't understand anything at all. So it was like the book was written in Chinese, something like that. So I just left the part. So that's why now, recently, a few years ago, I said to myself, oh, maybe I can do something in assembler. So I just took it, and now it's different. now I could do things.
I tried assembler for about a day. That did not stick. I think I'll stick with those high-level languages.
Mm-hmm.
So wait, did you code UnMetal in assembler?
I code the MSX version of UnMetal. So before UnMetal, there's a game called Prisoner of War, which I code in assembler for MSX machines. And this is the predecessor of UnMetal. The story is after creating a Prisoner of War for MSX, I started to try new ideas for a new game. And after the third one, I created one idea, I tried, work a couple of months, and then I discarded because it was not as appealing as I thought in the first place. I tried with a new idea, which looked appealing as well, looked fun, but then in the end, it didn't. There was something missing. So I started a third idea, and it happened the same. So I said, what should I do now? Okay, let's make a porting of Prisoner of War to PC. With better graphics, with better everything, and I started to do it, and it felt really good. So I just keep working on it. And UnMetal was born. In C++, not in assembler, of course.
How many UnMetal spoilers can we find in Prisoner of War?
Prisoner of War, the map itself, the scenarios and how everything is created is more or less the same. So the path is very, very similar. You know why I didn't have... So after just editing 300 rooms for UnEpic, 300 rooms, different rooms for those 1.0, and 300 more rooms or 200 rooms for Prisoner of War, I didn't want to create 3 more different rooms for another game. So I said, I'm going to take Prisoner of War as a base, and I'm going to follow the map. So
that's smart, and you can really see it as well when you play the first stage in Prisoner of War.
Yeah, if you play Prisoner of War and you play UnMetal, you see very similar. So note in graphics, note the story, the story is similar, but know the humor, know the events, but the game itself, the weapons, the enemies, and bosses. Well, bosses. The MSX version has 4 bosses. 4 bosses was very little for a very little number for a PC or computer. So I added 10 more. So we have 14 bosses in total.
Can't wait to meet them.
Yeah, we've met Grenade Guy so far.
The Grenade Guy. So I'm gonna tell you, boss 1 is Grenade Guy, boss 2 is Grenade Pal, boss 3 is Grenade Guy is that, and boss 4. No, I'm joking. Of course,
Fran, we should do that if we ever make an UnMetal 2.
UnMetal 2 confirmed.
Oh shit! You heard it here, Kojima Frequency.
No. I said if.
There's nothing confirmed.
Nothing. But if we do, we should just have a progression of Grenade Family.
Yeah. Or Grenade Gay, but half robot like Freezer in Dragon Ball. I'm back! No!
Final boss, Grenade Gal.
Yeah.
Yeah. As it should be.
Dude, I would do a Grenade Gal cosplay.
So, at first there was no Grenade Guy. And I said, so I was about to release a demo. It was a week before. I said, so just a level and no boss. And I have 13 bosses. I have to add a boss here. So just a few days before releasing the demo, I create the grenade boss and I create the items and... Well, no, the item was already created, the hook, but the hook was somewhere else. So I just created the boss and I added to the game.
And then you had to create the ditch that separated you from the boss.
Yeah, I had to create the ditch as well.
That Jesse didn't see until, after the thing. You could have got him there. That's like the humor in the presentation of this game. For the people that have played the demo, they'll get that joke, but that's not spoiling too much. The way that you present it sometimes, like through like just the unreliable narrator, through the main character is Jesse Fox, and he's just being interrogated, and they're like, "Well, tell us what happened." And he's like, "Well." And like from there, you've got so much freedom, because he can just say something that didn't happen, or just, you guys can mess around. And I thought it was really cool how you like displayed the stages and you break down the background and kind of added in piece by piece. Like there was dirt on the ground and it was nighttime, and you're clicking on all these switches.
When leaving the cell, I found myself in a prison yard surrounded by some buildings. There were piles of boxes and other stuff here and there. And the ground was plain dirt. Oh, and it was night.
I don't know. That was really good presentation. It's very stylish.
Oh, thank you very much. I had fun just doing it, and this way the scenario is created by description. I thought it before even starting the PC conversion. I said I have to do it in 1K. So because normally I tend to think ideas, and I write them down in my brain. And when it comes out, when the occasion comes out, so I use it. Like UnEpic, the first game I did by myself, the way of lighting the torches and just only see what you can see with your torch, and that was an idea I had much before doing the game. In fact, I tried to do it I had an idea for an MSX game as well, but it was too complex. And when I started UnEpic, I said, okay, that's my chance. And I did it.
Yeah, I was going to bring up UnEpic, which is sort of, I guess, in some ways, UnMetal is a continuation of this idea of subverting older games to a degree. And not a lot of people in the Metal Gear community might know that UnEpic exists. So, can you kind of give us a rundown of that?
Well, UnEpic is. I did UnEpic because I wanted to do a castle game. Do you know a big castle? You're inside. You have to explore the castles, fight the bosses. I love this since I played the Maze of Callius, which was an MSX as well.
So, like more of a classic RPG.
Well, I was reading that on your site. It was kind of more like you're talking about defending against it being called like a Metroidvania, but that was actually some game made by Konami back then for the MSX too, right?
Yeah, we could say the Maze of Callius could be the predecessor of Metroidvania games. Mm-hmm. The only difference is that, and something I really liked, is that you had all the castle to explore from the first time, from the beginning. So you didn't need a key or an item to access another part of the castle. You were free to go wherever you want to go. But of course, at the beginning, you had low HP, low health points, so it was easier to get killed by. With UnEpic, I did the same. I created a whole castle, everything was open, but at the testers started to play, I said, okay, I cannot do this in PC. So I need to close parts of the castles because they started to go to difficult parts, and they died, and they complained. Hey, I died here. I'm not supposed to die here. This monster is too strong. Okay, then go somewhere else.
So go somewhere else.
Yeah, and that's how it was back in the day. Yeah, it was like, well, figure it out, dude. You're not ready.
Just go somewhere else. But players are not ready to this. Players are not ready to this. You have to let them the way. Go here, go there, and that's why I started to insert doors or gates in the castle. So you had to beat the first boss to have access to the second part of the castle. So this is some sort of Metroidvania, how they work. But it was not intended. So I just placed it because players were complaining because they died, or some other creatures they found they were too hard for them.
Have you played Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild? Because that is a very similar concept where it's like everything's sort of laid out for you, and you can go directly to Ganondorf, the final boss, even if you only have 3 hearts. Like, as soon as you described that, I thought of Breath of the Wild.
I never played any Zelda at all. So I know it's weird, I know it sounds strange, but I'm not a console guy. I'm a computer guy, so I have my PC. I always had a personal computer with me. And I never got a PlayStation or Super Nintendo, so I never played them. I played Gold Values, which is a similar concept for MSX, of course. But no, I never played any Zelda at all. Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. I just, like I said, it has very similar concepts, which I think is very cool.
Yeah, you can definitely end up in the wrong section of that game like way too early and be like, oh no, I am not ready.
Yeah, my earliest experience with that was Morrowind, and I was like, oh, hey, there's a cave that looks interesting, and I wander in, and 5 seconds later, I'm dead.
Why does their level have a skull instead of a number?
Dead buddies. I was going to say Morrowind as well.
So, Jack, I've got a question for you.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. How in the hell have you kept up with the social media side of this game?
A little bit.
Because I would say the Metal Gear community's kind of taken to you guys a bit. Sure, it's a little overwhelming.
No, actually not. At least on my end. Fran, I would guess it's a little overwhelming to you to see all the love from Metal Gear, right?
Well, yes and no, depending on the angle.
So
the good thing of UnMetal is has a lot of fun, a lot of humor, and then people tend to be more. What's the word, Jack?
I would love to read your mind, Fran.
It's a parody Metal Gear.
Yeah.
A Metal Gear parody. So they don't expect, something really, really nice, or they won't compare it with a Metal Gear. And that's the best of UnMetal. UnMetal is going to what? It's going to surprise them in a very good way.
So, going back to your question though, about the social media and such, I'll be honest, it's a little bit of a low-key dream for me. I've been watching GDQs for actually getting closer to a decade now, and I always found myself watching the Metal Gear speedruns. So as about halfway through when I was working with Fran on the game, I kept on thinking it'd be really cool to see just one person speedrun this game. Because I didn't think that it really crossed Fran's mind all that much, but it was one of those, it'd be really rad. So when I watched, the origin of this is I was watching a recent GDQ and I saw Apache doing a wonderful tuxedo run. and I was just sitting there and I'm like, let's go for broke. Randomly sent him a message and I'm like, hi, Mr. Apache friend. Shudder, nervous, thoughts. And he's like, oh, that's rad. And I'm like, oh, well, that was easy. And then eventually as I opened that door, I just cared to dive right in. And then suddenly this thing called a boba skip came out of nowhere and blew up. And I'm like, I got to talk to everyone. So then I was that guy. But one of the things that I remembered from GDQ previously was to talk about Celeste and about how the developers really cared to go out of their way to help out the speedrunners of that game. And I just sat down and I'm like, it's a little extra time to talk to people that I would really enjoy talking to and seeing what they could do. And that's a conversation Fran and I had back in the day about this, is if there's any way that we could help speedrunners enjoy the game and even the community of Metal Gear enjoy the game, I would take a step forward to try and help out with that.
Well, it sounds like your community outreach has been more than successful, because you guys have that creator pack, and it seems like an homage to that community work with all those voices. Patchy.
So
yeah, it's got DJ Wheat in the game, but I don't know if you know, but DJ Wheat's in UnMetal, like for real. Now, what Jacklifear is failing to mention here is that he messaged me and said, "Do you want to be in a video game?" And I said, "Well, yeah, since I was 3." So he's like, I don't know. That's a very difficult proposition to turn down. Obviously, since then, like UnMetal's been like crazy involved in the Metal Gear speedrun community. Metal Gear speedrun is obviously separate from these guys here, but that's something I'm heavily involved in as well. UnMetal has just been adopted as a new speedrun game as part of our community. Like, we have runs of every single game, but we also run Merry Gear. I'm sure.
God, I haven't heard of that in a while.
Santa Claus?
Yeah. Merry Gear is a parody game. It's not on the scale that UnMetal is. It's not even. I don't even think it's worth mentioning. Sorry, Merry Gear fans. It's okay.
I mean,
it's kind
we
of
all
funny,
know
right?
about it.
It's fine, right? It's kind of fun.
It's like a flash game.
That game over Santa message is in my head for like the better part of 2 decades.
There was a Merry Gear Solid 2. I would say it made an impact.
Yeah, exactly. We also have the Ape Escape, Metal Gear. We speedrun that as well, and we're speedrunning UnMetal now. Since this episode comes out after we announce this publicly, I can say that we're doing a full speedrun event for UnMetal called UnMetal Unleashed on the 16th of October. We're going to have a lot of runners attempt to break a sick time in that game, and we're gonna go for 12. We're gonna stream for 12 hours, and do like a full scale event for it. It'll exist by the time that this podcast comes out, but we're still heavily doing stuff behind the scenes to get it up and running.
God, you definitely picked a good time to get this stuff rolling. The Metal Gear community is wanting for anything to do right now.
Yeah.
And you guys are kind of filling that void.
Now you say that. Are you talking to Apache or me or both or everyone?
Everybody.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
All of
I
the
mean,
above.
when you talked about social media, there was definitely the front side of a lot of the speedrunning side talks. But then one of the things that I'm very grateful for is Google Translate automated on pages, because when I'm looking at the UnMetal hashtag, there is so much conversation around the world about I am down for anything Metal Gear. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of humbling because hearing the love in Spain specifically, there's a lot of Russian and Japanese tweets too, just going on full-on rants of how they're looking forward to anything that looks like anything that pays an homage to the original series. Yeah. And it's just like, it brings a tear to the eye, honestly, some of the things people are saying. There's no way you could ever predict how something like that could touch the hearts of people in such a way of just having the hope of something that would be great. I just hope they enjoy it as much as I love it.
Yeah.
I think the Metal Gear community in particular is going to be more open to satire and parody, just due to the nature of the Metal Gear games and how self-aware and self-denigrating they can be at times. So this is definitely tapping into that spirit in a way that I think a lot of fans are going to resonate with.
I think a lot of people are going to really appreciate the humor not being wrapped up in the same kind of war and death and awful things backdrop. It's just really genuinely funny and enjoyable. But I have creased laughing at some of the humor in that game. I think it's absolutely hilarious.
Yeah.
Now, on the topic of the humor and actually Google Translate, one challenge that I think about when thinking about this game is how do you balance out that humor without it being cringy? And then at that same point, how do you, translate that humor among different communities? Because like you said, you're getting responses from Japan, Russia, Spain. Like it can't be easy to localize, some of the parody aspects.
Well, that's the work of the localizators, of translators. So they get the jokes and they try to adapt them to their own language. But concerning the humor, one of the tricks is not doing language-based humor. Like for instance, saying something in English that is similar to another word that should be terrible for us. Or for instance, using expressions. In fact, there's a joke that Kevin created, Jacklifear created for the game, is I beat the shit out of him. So this is an English-focused humor, and I had a lot of trouble to translate it to Spanish, and I'm quite sure the other translators had problems too.
Yeah.
But concerning the humor, it's it's nothing. It's nothing calculated. It's something premeditated. I just went up running and just was thinking funny things, just based on all the movies and cliches, especially from cliches, And as I had just funny ideas, and then I just wrote them inserted in the game. In fact, some of the ideas I didn't insert them because maybe they were too. They were not that classic humor. For instance, something about politicians, and say no, best not to joke with politicians here, which is typical humor from everyone. But no, in this case, I prefer to stay away from this and just use the I don't know how to call it, but just my sort of humor.
More like visual gags.
It's very easy to like date yourself, isn't it? If you use things that are political or references can date your game so quickly.
Or certain slang too. Yeah, like you said.
Yeah.
Yeah, we talked to Jeremy Blaustein about this a few episodes back, and yeah, it's definitely a tricky thing to nail down.
Mm-hmm. I just think stuff that made me laugh. And I'm going to put an example. So right now, it occurred to me that as you're going to do this speed run, so maybe I can detect that you are going very fast in the level, and then I know there's a speedrunner doing the level, and then I can troll him somehow, like inserting something special. So, oops, he reached that point in only 4 minutes. That's a speedrunner. So, okay, let's mess with him. And then,
That's hilarious.
Imagine you are doing this speedrun, suddenly something you're not expecting appears, and I don't know, say, go, come on, go. Or maybe, I don't know, whatever. So it's just things that make me fun.
Friend. No, we just have it where they suddenly are on a racetrack against a turtle. Sorry, this is just us being us.
Yeah.
It's just like a hallucination kicks in all of a sudden.
I don't like this.
Make it RNG. Just throw it in every once in a while. That's how you fuck with them, really.
And if you're slower than a speedrunner, you're on there against a rabbit.
Or you're so fast that you get to the area before it finishes loading, and you have to wait for it to load.
Or you time travel because you went over 80 miles. Never mind.
Yeah, but you get the point, right? It's just I just think of stuff, funny stuff, and then I keep thinking on them and get more and more ideas, and then insert in the game. So where to insert it depending on the game. For instance, if there's level 4 before releasing the game, before finishing the game, I found it too short and maybe too lack of humor. So I just expanded it a little bit more and inserted just 2, 3, 4 dialogues or funny things there. So the reason is just to keep the whole game having humor constantly. But not constantly, of course. Maybe you play, you're speedrunners, but a normal player can 5-10 minutes and then find something funny. Then 5, 10, 15 minutes, something else. So he has fun with the game itself and with the story as well.
I think it's like you kind of play with the world, and the game rewards you for messing with it. Like if you've almost like, well, you haven't almost, you have purposely planned on what are people going to do in this room, and when you do something that in most games nothing would happen, the game does something. I think that's what I found so enjoyable about it.
Or just like a good adventure game.
I didn't want to bring up his name. I didn't want to bring it up, but I have to. It reminds me of Toby Fox, like a lot of the aspects.
That's humbling to hear. By the way, shout out to Chapter 2 of Deltarune coming out now.
That's 50% of the reason why I brought that up. It's stuck in the back of my head, but please continue.
Days and I have been talking about that a lot.
So, but one of the other things that Fran was talking about, and Fran, I'm going to talk about the localization for a moment. When one of the most important things about Fran's games is the backbone of all of them are his humor, and it's a great skeleton. But where he's barely played any Metal Gear game, I personally have played everyone on release. and I have a major love for it. So one day he's like, "Can you please look over and localize or translate?" And translating it was what I was expecting to do, but then I learned the importance of localization instead of translating, where it's like not just translating, but making it culturally relevant. So myself, and a shout out to a dear friend of ours and partner in crime for me, K. Draconis, Michael Kim. What was supposed to be 2 weeks, Fran asked us, took 2 months to localize the entire script from what we endearingly call Franglish to English. And throughout the entire time, he gave us the freedom to evolve and add more jokes or tweak a thing that was like 99% to 100%. And this is weird because you have a guy with a great sense of humor that's almost just sincere and casual. You have me who's trying to add in as many Metal Gear references or gaming references as possible. And K-Drac is down with the memes. So you have a really weird trio of working on this where it became just really weird by the end. There's some jokes in there that I didn't expect to get added. And, but the biggest challenge whenever we had to go over it, and sometimes we would spend 20 or 30 minutes on a single line, is will this be relevant in 10 years? That entire dating point. So sometimes you guys will be going through and you'll just have a 1 second line that you listen to. And I'm sitting here thinking about the 20 to 30 minute conversation I had with K-Drac of how do we keep this up to Fran's original feel. It's kind of a weird experience going through that when people play the game in front of you.
So is it fair to say that a big chunk of the game is coming out of just you guys spitballing and figuring out, like, is this funny? Is this interesting? And like...
Well, yes, but I would say a huge chunk of it is Fran just naturally being brilliant. I'm just going to say it right in front of his face. And there's that... You ever have a joke that you're like, that is so good, but if it went 1 inch further from its 1 yard of hilarity, it'd be so much better? And that was what we did for 2 months. And even questioning, is this as good as what Fran originally wrote? So it was almost a duel of, we really believe in this, an imposter syndrome of me and K-Drac comparing ourselves with someone we really respect for the script. It was a very interesting personal journey. I don't think I've really elaborated on that with Fran. So,
how long was the development for the game? I mean, I know you guys have been doing this for a while, but...
Well, it took me half a year to do the base of the game. I mean, to program everything and to create the editor and everything. And later, after the game was more or less finished, I had to insert the voices. That took a lot of time as well. It took maybe 2 or 3 months to insert them. And later, it came after a couple of years. So the game was finished, nearly finished, and it took us a whole year to do the portings to PlayStation and on other platforms and get it ready for the launch. In fact, the video version just was finished last year in November. In November 2020, it was ready to be tested, and it was tested, and we got it. Approved by Sony. So it's been 3 years. One half of them just working on it, and the other half doing all the stuff. By the way, concerning your question before. Concerning when you do some stuff in the game and something happens, that's because I watch my friends and testers just playing the game with videos, and I see them just doing weird stuff like punching boxes, pum 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 pum, and then some of them told me, "Hey, Fran, it should be great if you do this." Okay, so I inserted, or by just watching. In fact, I was watching one of the videos from Jacklifear and K-Drac. And K-Drac was playing, and he approached a track and started to punch the track. And he said, "Die, track!" And I said, "Okay, let's insert in the game." So I asked the actor to say, okay, say die track, and now it's working the game. So it's basically by ideas from other people that play the game, by watching testers and people playing it. That's because there's all this extra interaction in the game.
Oh, that's great that you're just taking all the feedback from people just messing around and going, "Huh, yeah, that would be kind of fun if we did that." All right, fuck it, throw it in. Like,
yes, it is. In chapter 1, there's the toilet, and of course I program everything with a paper, blah blah blah. But then a tester told me, so it could be great. You could break the door, and I said, okay, let's break the door. Let's make the guard come out.
Now, going back to your trio, who in the trio thought up the name Jesse Fox?
What a perfect name.
Well, I did.
The brilliant one?
I did in a previous project. So it was not for UnMetal, it was for a previous project called a Freight project. It was an experiment, and I needed a character, and I said, okay, let's think again. And by the time I was watching a TV series called Breaking Bad, maybe you know it.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Oh,
Breaking
I
Bad.
think I've heard of that.
Yeah.
Of course.
Watched an
So
episode.
it's Walter White. So the main characters are Walter White and Jesse Pinkman.
I totally know somebody who wrote a dissertation on it. She's a giant fucking nerd, but
I love that TV series. I watched it maybe 3 or 4 times already. But the thing is, I was watching this TV series and I said, okay, Jesse is going to be the name. And what about the surname? Okay, it has to be smart, has to be clever. Okay, Fox is a clever animal, so it's going to be Jesse Fox.
So you had no clue about Fox or Foxhound with Metal Gear or any of that? Like, that's not a reference to that? It's just...
No, it has absolutely nothing to do. It's from another
That's
project.
crazy.
It's in fact, I did a Kickstarter, and unfortunately, it didn't success. It was a failure. But it's there. His name, everything there. Much before I started with UnMetal. So nothing to do.
A little behind the scenes on that. There are so many accidental references through all this where I will talk to Fran and I'm like, this was brilliant. He's like,
What do you mean?
oh, why?
I remember you on a stream and you were talking. You're like, any of the references to Metal Gear Solid in the games are an accident, and like you were not kidding. You're just not kidding at all. I can't wait to find all the other accidents.
This just makes the fact that Walter White's daughter in Breaking Bad is named Holly White even funnier to me.
yeah. I was gonna ask, is
Just a
Jesse gonna say bitch a lot?
Actually, that's one of the weird things that when localizing and working with them, that we had a very interesting part, because in the first few chapters, Fran wrote Jesse in such a way that you could almost tell exactly what he would never say as much as what he would say, which is a question in itself because he says such ridiculous stuff and believes it. But at the same time, though, I remember a specific conversation that I was having. I'm like, would he say bitch? And it's like, no. Like, what other swear words would he say? And it's like, not many, and only in these specific times. In fact, one of the things that we were doing when localizing was actually counting the swear words he would say so that we didn't go overboard out of character for him.
That's so interesting to me because, again, it kind of goes back to the accidental Metal Gear references. I think we were just talking about how, like, in some ways, Snake feels too pure.
Solid Snake wouldn't cuss, but Big
To be
Boss
cussing.
would. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's interesting you say that, because that was kind of the way I viewed it personally.
He's a wholesome boy.
I saw on one of the streams there's an area to enter passwords in the game, or codes. So I was wondering if you might have put in an Easter egg where the old swear word password for Metal Gear 1 NES might work. But given this is MSX style, probably not. So, like I said, it was kind of a joke question.
You know, Fran, do we have time before it releases?
Oh my
No.
god.
No, we don't. No, absolutely not.
I'm just checking. No. You're like, absolutely not. And then whisper, maybe. No, I'm kidding. But might I say, just send me all the details of how you think that would work, and we'll see what happens in a future patch. Maybe not.
It would make your game rated M, probably.
Oh, it's very much rated M right now.
Well, all right then. And you're fine then.
You've got a Vita version as well, right?
Yes, it's the first version ever for UnMetal. It was released in physical. I think it was 2100 units, and so yeah, that's a Vita version.
Man, that's awesome. I have a Vita. I love it so much. I wish more people knew how great of a handheld device that is.
Yeah, the thing with Vita is the community of Vita reminds me of the community of MSX. It's a very strong one, and especially very, they love the platform. So I never see a community just worshipping their console this much. And that really impressed me. I never had a Vita, but I've been talking to people who had the Vita after releasing the first UnEpic in this console, and they were in love with the passion they had. The passion we had was unbelievable. So wow, I mean, in comparison with PlayStation or other platforms, and it really impressed me. So I said, okay, the next game I have to do it for Vita 2, and I had UnMetal. The window was being closed because I was told that 2020 was the last year to create any game in Vita at all, and they told me just 3 months before. It was in October or September. They told me that I had the chance to do UnMetal of Vita before the end of the year. So I said I have to do it.
That's awesome.
And I left everything else and I started to work hard on this conversion.
That's awesome.
Appreciate the audacity, man.
A month later, I had everything ready. Yeah, a month later, everything was ready, and luckily, the project was accepted and it worked. So that's the reason why UnMetal was released half a year ago only in Vita, because I had to do it at that time or never. So I just threw me to the swimming pool.
All right, last call for Vita games. Hold on, one more.
Yeah. Yeah.
Those copies are worth a fortune now as well. Like they're selling for like, upwards of £150-200.
Jeez.
And they're just going to get higher as well because they'll never be. Well,
I have one at home. I have one here at home with my signature, £300.
Well,
no joke. I may
that's
have
a
to
source
hunt
of
one
guaranteed
down.
income. So
it's an investment.
Oh my God.
yeah. Well, we don't want to keep you for much longer, as I stated, but we do want to know, what is the future for Fran and his MSX development?
Good question. Very good question. Hey, that was supposed to be some sort of informal chat, or it looked like an interrogatory to me. Eh? Hey, Fran, what's the future?
Yeah, we got.
Answer.
I got more questions about Grenade Guy after, so don't worry. We're done with the chit chat part. This is the interrogation.
Where do you see yourself in 5 years? No.
Put the spotlight on you.
I have no idea. Absolutely. In fact, I don't know what I'm going to do in 3 months. Imagine in 5 years. So, but there's still a few games I love from MSX, and maybe I could end up just doing something for PC consoles. But besides this, before the MSX, there's a game I really love. It's the Starcraft Saga. I love it. Oh my God! James Rayner, Sarah Kerrigan, Arcturus Bansk. Man, I love this saga from Blizzard. So this is a game I really love. So maybe I could end up doing something similar.
Real-time strategy. All right.
Yeah, I really love real-time strategy. It's very different from MSX games, but man, I can't help it. I love it.
UnMetal's going to be out tomorrow, I think, when this episode releases. That's going to be September 28th. So that's right around the corner.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward for September 28th, guys. Very, very looking forward.
I have to say, I know this is recorded days beforehand, but when you said it comes out tomorrow, I had a heart attack. Like, oh,
I checked my calendar. I literally looked. I was like, "There's no way. There's no way."
Did a little showbiz trick for you.
I have to go and do 15 things.
What day is it? Shit.
I slept too long.
Yeah. God.
Fran, they did ask what you're doing next.
So I have 3 options here. So the next thing I'm going to do is to finish another MSX game I started a year ago, because I had some free time after I finished UnMetal. And after this, so I have 3 options. Option number 1 is to create UnEpic 2, a sequel. Option, which it could be a long project because involves a lot of work. The second option is UnMetal 2. Of course, if UnMetal is successful and people start just asking for it, so I could do a sequel as well, which I would enjoy. UnMetal has been very fun to program and to create. The third option is to create a brand new idea. And I have several ideas, and a new idea is always very appealing because it's something new. It's not continuing doing the same over and over again. But I haven't decided yet. I have to make up my mind and just choose what to do.
Well, I mean, it sounds like just from everything you told us, you're very, for lack of a better term, organically inspired. So, if that's
absolutely.
If that's how you churn out this good content, then I'm looking forward to more of that.
Yeah. So the best is to do what you fancy, what you want at the moment, because you're going to have fun, and therefore you're going to do it better. That's the best for working. Just do what you want.
Yeah, you can definitely tell this game is made with a lot of love and just passion for this type of game. So it's, I think it's really going to be well received by the community. And, it's hearing like the thought of just UnMetal 2, Jesse Fox. I don't know. That's exciting. So do whatever you want to next, but that's my vote. I'd love to see another one because this is, I'm just from the demo alone, just grinning ear to ear with this thing.
I get the feeling you guys have tapped into something here.
I want to make a bold prediction that this game's going to bang extremely hard. If it's like the demo but more, I'm really, really excited.
Yep.
All I've got to say is if we do go into UnMetal 2, I am going to advocate so hard for the entire family tree of Grenade Guy because of all of your feedback.
You gotta keep me posted on the Grenade Gal design so I can do the first cosplay.
Oh, there's a character to do a cosplay for you. It's called Dr. Erica Stevenson. You'll see it in chapter 3. You'll meet her in chapter 3.
Okay.
Is that the peculiar scientist by chance?
No.
Okay.
No.
In fact, if you look at the first trailer on the Steam page, you'll get a glance at Erica.
Oh yeah, the first one, the first trailer created. There's a small. Well, you meet her in a few days, so I think it's easy. It's easy to do a cosplay.
Okay. I'll make sure to keep an eye out.
I think I get the joke already, but I haven't seen her.
Either I'm about to feel really foolish or have a good time. In any case, did you guys want to plug your pluggables, where you can find you guys on social media and where the folks can buy and check out UnMetal?
I'll go before Fran.
Okay.
Just because Fran, you should have the tail on this one. I'm Jacklifear, game creative assistant to Fran. And you can find me at Jacklifear, primarily on Twitter, at JACKLIFEAR. I also do Twitch as well, but mostly the big shout-outs that I want to say is I hope if you do play the game and enjoy it, one of the big projects I worked on at the end was a creator pack where over 80 friends on content creators were able to contribute voices, including a lovable Apache Smash here, and that'll be free DLC on the first day. But other than that, to get it out of the way so Fran doesn't worry, also, if you have any of his other games, you'll have special little treats in the game as a thank you. So now that I've done all the business things, Fran, you can just be you.
Okay, you can. Kojima has my phone number. You can contact him. You can ask him. So how to contact me, how to find me. Okay, I don't want to be found because I like to work at home peacefully with no GMs and all this stuff. But in case you want to contact me somehow, so I mostly use Twitter. So my Twitter account is UnEpic_Fran. UnEpic_Fran. So it's quite easy. All right.
And UnMetal is going to be available on Steam. You can wish list it.
Everything. Switch, Xbox, PlayStation. It's on everything.
Hell yeah.
Epic Store and GOG as well.
Heck yeah.
And
So you have no excuse not to play this. Everybody go out and get this. This is what the Metal Gear community needs right now. Just a good, fun time. And
it's either this or the duck. It's literally this or the rubber duck. Like, get it played.
And you have a demo, and there's a demo as well. So you can play the demo before buying the game. So just to convince yourself that you like it or not. So don't buy the game directly and then just say you don't like it. That should be unfair. Just play the demo first.
Yeah, the demo is a great time. And can I ask you about that news?
Of course. You'll find out at the end of chapter 2.
All right, perfect.